Hello, Matt. How are you?
Very good, yeah. How you doing?
So you're releasing singles at the moment as opposed to putting out albums. Why are you doing that this way?
That's a good question, really. I think it's kind of... I'm writing songs, I guess, like, there's no exact rate, but call it like once every couple of months I'll write a new song, or every month I'll write a new song. And sometimes when you write a new song, it's nice, the idea of getting it out sooner rather than having to wait for the album,
Yeah.
All the songs we're putting out there will be on the next album, but we just like the idea of releasing a few ahead. It coincides with the fact that we're doing like a few sort of random shows, if you know what I mean, that are kind of a little bit far away from the Jones, the last album we did, and they're sort of like too early to be the next album. They're sort of like, for example, Australia's one, we did a few shows over the summer. It was nice having a new song to play, So early New Year we'll have another new song out called Thought Contagion, which will hopefully come out in like sort of end of January maybe, or February, something like that, yeah. And then maybe in the summer there'll be another one, and then maybe towards the end of the year we might get the album out if we finish it in time, or it might be early 2019.
Is it a good way of testing the waters to see the reaction you're getting from the individual songs as to whether it will lead to a direction that you'll take the album in?
Yeah, a little bit like that, yeah. I mean, there's... You sort of get a reaction to songs that you wouldn't normally get when you play them new for the first time, when they're brand new, rather than people having the album out for a while and they get used to them. So it's nice to get a bit of gauge reaction, but it's also nice just to inject a little bit of risk into the set list, like rather than like a huge amount of, when you do a new album, sometimes you feel this feeling like you've got to play like 7 or 8 new songs, Yeah. And our set list now is like, we can play like for an hour and a half or something and play just like popular songs from old albums, Sometimes it's nice to sort of bring in new songs one at a time rather than bringing in like 6 at once, 10 at once or whatever,
With your songwriting, you've covered a lot of things that are personal to you, from social issues, political issues. What is it at the moment that you're really interested in?
Well, all sorts, really. I'm interested in sort of a lot of tech stuff. I've always been interested in that. It's a theme through a lot of our albums. Like the future, what's happening going to be happening in the future with things like artificial intelligence and automation and all that kind of stuff. The impact it might have on our lives. That's always something I'm reading about, interested in. It always influences the songs, And then obviously politically, with the situation that's going on in America, is very unusual at the moment, and stability overall in the world. I tend to find influence from those two things in terms of outside forces, But obviously there's always internal things going on with your own personal life and stuff like that, which always find their way into songs as well.
So how hard is it for you to translate to the lyrics what you're trying to put across? I mean, like, what rhymes with gigabyte? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Well, I guess with... I'm trying to think. That's a good question. Like, with tech stuff, I don't know. Like, Supermassive Black Hole comes to mind, even though it's not really about tech or whatever, but it's a song where I've used sort of some scientific terms, like supermassive black hole, but used it as a way to sort of describe the sort of relationship issue of some kind, or like in the song like Dead Inside, I'm talking about talking about things like drones and stuff, but it's actually again, it's almost like a sort of metaphor for the things that happen in a relationship, Okay. So sometimes I'll use words from like science books or whatever to describe human emotions or things like that, or like I'll use like the grandness of space to describe a big feeling or a big emotion in the way that maybe someone who wrote songs like decades ago would say something about crossing a big ocean to get to you or something like that. Maybe I'll sing about space or something, whatever. So sometimes like that it creeps in, and when you get into things like politics and stuff, the challenge is to sort of keep it. For me, I don't like being too overtly attached to one point in time. I like people to know that what I'm singing about, it relates to the current time, but I don't like putting things in it that are going to date the song. So that in 10 years' time, everyone goes, oh, that's clearly from like 19.
How very MySpace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the challenge is always trying to write lyrics or things that you can convey the feeling of what you're feeling at this point in time, but at the same time, it's still going to be relevant in say 10, 20 years' time.
All right, Matt. Really nice to talk to you again, mate. Thanks so much.